computer。好，那我们开始。那我先自我介绍一下，大家好，我叫蒋甲，我住在北加州湾区这个地方，然后我有2个孩子，一个2人都打网球，一个11岁，一个8岁。我为什么会今天有和 Andrew 有这么一个交流呢？是因为我2个孩子打球，所以我非常想知道打球能打成什么样子啊？我也希望能更好的教他们，能够给他们最好的资源，能够帮助他们能够越练越好。所以我和我太太2人就在网上去找看看说现在在美国的大学里打球的人尤其是华人和我们孩子背景相似的人有谁？所以我后来我们在网上就找到了，因为我们2个都是在杜克大学念的商学院，念的 MBA。我在这儿呢，请大家如果可能的话，请你们把自己 mute 一下好吗？对不起，我把 Andrew mute 了，Andrew 你可以 unmute。稍等一下啊，我现在一边在 admit 人，一边在那个什么。对，请大家如果听的话，请把自己 mute，谢谢。所以我就在网上找，然后我在我们学校找，我们都看到学校网页上我们的校队有一个叫 Andrew， 而且是队长，所以我就开始对他很有兴趣，所以开始对他做些研究，在网上查了查，后来发觉呢，就是 Andrew 还是非常有背景的，他是在Michigan， 在美国密西根州出生长大，6岁时候呢开始接触网球，后来呢打得非常好，得了州冠军以及地区冠军。于2019年呢，在全国高中排名第7，被杜克大学全额奖学金的录取。在杜克大学打了4年球，其中2年得到了全区域的就是说全区域的体育全明星的荣誉。
大声一点吗？
另外呢，我声音太小吗？Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. 另外呢，另外还有3年呢，得到了全赛区的学术全明星。并在2022年与2023年担任了杜克大学的校队队长。所以我看了之后，我觉得我很有意思啊。这个作为一个华人的孩子，不仅能够打，而且打得这么好，而且进了学校拿了奖学金，而且还能够当队长。所以我就给他发了个 LinkedIn 的一个信息，就跟他自我介绍了一下，说我们是校友。我有2个孩子打网球，能不能跟你联系一下，我们交流一下经验，我想听听。然后我们就其实有了一个交流，在电话上打了差不多半个多小时电话，结果发觉聊了很多东西，自己非常的受用，作为家长非常的受用。后来我就问 Andrew 说，你愿意不愿意我们有一次机会花差不多1个小时时间来 Zoom 一下，而且我知道有很多网球像我这样的这种家长，有孩子愿意给他们培养出打网球的家长，所以说能够把你介绍给他们，然后让你们的经验他非常愿意，他不仅非常愿意，而且我听他的话中听出来，他对华人这个网球非常有负担。所以呢，今天非常有荣幸，我请Andrew 来和我们来进行这个交流。我这个交流呢，现在会是用我跟大家但我跟他讲话这个交流是用英文来讲我再跟大家说一遍，如果你们在听的话，请你自己 mute， 这样的话我不用去总。
他问你能小声吗？
好吧，好，Okay, Andrew, welcome. Let's get this started.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for setting this up.
Yeah, no problem. I'm foreseeing a lot of fun in this conversation, but just I learned a lot about your background and through the conversations and through my research, man, I think you have a lot to offer in this community. I know, being a parent myself, taking my kids to training, 3 to 4 times a week, taking them to tournaments every other weekend. I see a lot of people look like me and speak the same language as me. And I'm like, wow, I gotta help, this, you can see the passion and also the commitment that the Chinese parents have for their kids. And that's why, I'd love to talk to you about how, what's your experience like? And I bet everyone in this room right now would love their kids to be to have the success that you've had, both academically and also, athletically. So yeah, so that's why we're having this conversation. And just want to go back to the beginning, from the very beginning. When did you start playing tennis, and how did you get started?
Yeah, so I started playing tennis when I was around 6 years old. How I got started was through my dad and my sister. My dad and my mom were originally like born and raised in Beijing, and then my dad immigrated to the United States for work. Um, and he was a really good badminton player in China. He
Oh,
went to college, and I think he might have played a little bit of professional.
你
Um,
等一下，等一下。
um, me?
no, 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 I was,
Oh,
yeah.
嗯，
大家请把自己
okay.
mute 好吗？谢谢。Oh, well, I think I mute. I think Andrew, I muted you.
什
So
么？
you I mute.
Yeah, yeah, you're good. You're good.
I just
Um,
keep muting people. So 大家把自己 mute 好吗？谢谢。好，go ahead.
but yeah, so pretty much, my dad immigrated to the United States, and badminton's not very popular in the United States. So but he like loves racket sports, so he picked up tennis. And my sister, she's like 10 years older than me. So she was 16 when I was 6. So she was playing high school tennis. And her and my dad would, be training, be practicing, just trying to, get her level as high as possible to win states and all that. So whenever they'd go out to practice, I'd wanna, I looked up to my sister and my dad. So I'd want to go out with them, and they would practice, and I'd hit the ball against the wall, or I'd bounce the ball on my racket. And then like,
How old were you when this happened?
like 6 years old. Yeah.
6 year old. So
Yeah,
your
yeah.
your 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 sister was 16,
Yeah.
and she was just your dad was training her to be a good player. Then you just pick it
Yeah.
up right up.
Exactly. And then I pretty much just, they would take time to hit with me also. So that's kind of how I got things started with tennis.
So there's a lot of it's interesting. There's a lot of nature versus nurture kind of debate, right? If you're a good player, is that you're born with this, or did you get the training, or did you get the chance to actually get to, because it seems like to you it's a little bit of nature because your parents are both athletes.
Yeah, just my dad.
Just your dad, okay.
My mom's not too athletic,
Okay.
um, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think that talent has to be involved
要
in,
发出声音来，宝宝。
someone playing at a high level. But I also think that, you don't need you just need like a little bit of talent, like there are tons of people that, have a little bit of talent, but have like so much, they're so hungry to be good at tennis or whatever sport that, they want to get good at. And, their work ethic is just crazy, like very, very, very disciplined work ethic. And, like that can take them so far, college, and even to like the professional level, so I think that it's definitely a mix. I think you need both, the talent and like hard work.
Yeah, that I just I read this book about how much luck kind of plays into a lot of people's success, right? And this book written by Malcolm Gladwell a long time ago. I don't know, it's called a talent code or whatever that was called. But he talked about sometimes by having a sibling who plays the game, or the parents plays the game, it actually can really impact you as when you grow up. So going back to your example. So basically, you just liked it, right? No, did your dad say, "Hey, I see you as a future star. I'm training your sister now, but you start practicing, so someday you become someone." Did he do that to you, or did you just kind of do it yourself?
No, definitely not. I think it was more, I mean, at first it was more just like I just want to, tag along to what my dad and my sister are doing. And then, like when I'm like hitting with them, I mean, I wasn't, too good when I was younger, but I could definitely like hit the ball, and I mean, something about tennis, just like hitting the ball back and forth was like just really fun for me. I really enjoyed it. So I think that's like one of the biggest things, is just like really loving the sport. Like I love tennis so much. And when I don't play for, a couple weeks, like I just I'm itching to get back to playing,
Wow.
like so I mean that's kind of different for everyone, but
Yeah.
I do think like you do have to really love playing the sport.
A couple questions from this. Um, does can that it feels like you have an interest or passion for the game, right? And it seems like came pretty naturally, right? Did your parent ever try to install anything for you, or just because all the parents would love for their kids to be like, man, I'm born for this. I'm gonna go play, and dad and mom, when can I play? So that was for you. You were just naturally want to play.
Yeah, well, I think what made me like sure that I wanted to, play tennis is that growing up, I played a couple different sports
Mm.
just to like try out,
Oh, okay.
what I was interested in, So I played soccer until I was until like the like sixth grade, I think.
Sixth grade. Okay.
Um, yeah, so I'm not sure how old I was, but I mean, I played soccer since like before I played tennis, and then I
Mm.
stopped after the sixth grade just because, my level was getting, I had to pick between one of the sports. But
Really?
then I was
At sixth grade, you have to pick. Is that because of proximity
yeah,
limit?
yeah, like about like sixth, seventh grade,
Okay.
um, because like there would be times where, I'd have tennis practice, but then I'd have like soccer practice right after. Like I'd have to miss a soccer game because of a tennis tournament. So like things were just conflicting.
Mm.
Um, and I swam also for a little bit,
Oh, wow.
just to try it out. But I didn't really like it, So
Oh, okay.
I think it's very important to try out different sports because you never know like which one's going to come naturally to you, which one you're gonna have, like which sport you're gonna love, like
Mm.
I think those two are very important, um, because like if you don't love the sport, it's very hard to be forced into, grueling practices or like anything like that, or like wanting to like get better at a sport. And like it's especially like facing burnout, if you're getting forced to play a specific sport, like maybe not every day, but like for years and years of your life, like you're gonna get burnt out because like you don't enjoy playing it, So I think that's pretty important too.
Gotcha. So once you start trying those sports, you just knew because this is your sport. Is that because you were pretty good at it? Like you were start beating people, where you were not excelling in soccer or swimming, or is that just like this is more fun?
I think for me it was just more fun.
Okay.
Like swimming, it's an individual sport like tennis, but I feel like I just didn't like I was pretty bad. I found swimming to be very tough, like
Mm.
I wasn't the best swimmer, and like I was kind of struggling with it. And like it was just like kind of like repetitive, like the same thing over and over again, just swimming laps, like different types of swimming. So I knew swimming wasn't for me. And then, I really enjoyed soccer. I actually really did enjoy soccer. I had a big left foot. But the thing was like I'm like kind of like a scaredy cat, So like when so like when the ball would get kicked at me, like that would be like that'd be like really scary to me. So then
Mm.
like I was like, as people get older, like they're just gonna kick the ball harder and like
Yeah.
stuff like that, and like soccer is like a pretty physical sport. Like it's pretty easy to get injured.
Right.
And so like I was just like, I don't know if like this is like the way I want to go. So I feel like that was like kind of why I narrowed it down. You know, I really enjoyed soccer, I really enjoyed tennis, but um I just didn't I think I enjoyed tennis a little more, and it, you know, it doesn't hurt that, you know, my dad and my sister both play, so it's kind of like a bonding thing that we can do
Got
together.
got it. So the advice we give for the parents is, you know, if you can play, that's probably the best, right? If you have
Yeah.
another kid that can play, train the younger one, make sure he becomes the All right. So I had a lot of conversation with parents, right? So it seems like there are people saying, hey, if you play soccer, it's tough to stand out. I mean, you're in Michigan, so the demographics in Michigan is probably a little bit different from here in California. But
Mhm.
a lot of kids who are playing soccer when it's turned out a lot of Hispanic kids, and they can do. And it seems like, as you get older and older, it feels like there's tougher for the Asian kids to play soccer and also basketball. So my question for you is, do you think, like, athletically, you being like a Chinese American, right? So your parents are both from China. Do you feel athletically, like when you were growing up, did you feel, or even now, how would you feel like, say, Asians versus other races? Or does that matter at all when it comes to tennis?
Um, I feel like, you know, I was growing up in Michigan, like where I grew up, it was a pretty diverse
Oh,
area.
okay.
So honestly, I didn't really like, I guess I didn't really like see race like too much, you know, like race wasn't really like a big part of my life.
Mm,
Especially like just like comparing myself like athletically to like a white or black or Mexican person, you know.
mhm,
Um, Honestly, like I felt like it didn't play a part in like how I compared myself to like other athletes, you know, like um, you know, growing up, you know, we would have like recess or gym or anything like that, and I was always one of the more athletic ones, you know,
mm.
and like uh so like I don't know, like I didn't really see race as a thing in terms of athletics, you know.
It's
Uh,
I'm so glad you talk about this because a lot of times I see this where parents talk about it a lot. By the way, parents that they seem it seems like it's easy for people to put themselves in a box, right? You're Asian, you're good at this. You're black, you're good at that. It's easy to put it in your box, but if you get out of the box and just say, how can I compete, right? Focus on yourself rather than what you look like, what your race is, that's actually a lot easier. Sometimes race can become a burden if you pay too much attention to it.
For sure. And
So,
like I just like me personally, like I don't like limiting myself based off of, you know, anything, you know,
mm,
based off what people say, based off of, you know, my race or anything like that. Like I'm a big believer on like if you have enough passion for something, like just like don't care about like what other people think and just like put your head down, work towards your goal. And
mm,
like if you love it enough and you want it enough, like good things will happen for you, you know?
yeah, gotcha. So, if you're, do you see? Okay, I guess my question is, from when you grow up, do you compete against peers, right? You know the people who are good at tennis, and I'm pretty sure as you get older and older, the number becomes smaller and smaller. People can burn out and weed out. We
Yeah.
do you What's your observation? Do you have any like common observations of people who actually make it to the top, to stay in this game? Are they all like interested in the game? Like or are they pushed by the parents? Like, so do you have any common observations of the people who made it to the top?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Mhm.
So I think the first one is like burnout. You know, like I mentioned it earlier, but if you really like, you know, even if you love the sport, if you're playing, you know, especially at a younger age, 6 or 7 times a week for, 2 or 3 hours. That's a lot of miles on your body, especially as a kid.
Hmm.
And that's just not healthy. And after doing that a couple years, your body's gonna burn out, like regardless of whether or not you love the sport.
Mm.
Um, so I think, you know, monitoring how much you play, especially at a younger age, is very, very important. Um, so you don't face this burnout, um, just like not overtraining, things like that. Another thing that's a really big problem, I feel like, is, these parents that want it more for their kids than the kids themselves.
Mm.
I can name, a bunch of people from my area in southeastern Michigan that were really, really good when they were 10 years old, or the 12 and under division, or even the 14 and under division. But, you know, as you get older, you grow, like all the kids are growing older, they're growing bigger, they're growing stronger, like their bodies are developing. So the playing field kind of evens out,
Mhm.
like these kids that might be better in like the 12s, the 10s and the 12s, like they might just be bigger, or they hit the ball bigger or something like that to like give them advantage. But like come the 16th and 18th division, like the levels pretty much even out. And like um that's where the kids whose parents really push them and they want it more for them than the kids want it itself, like that's when they start to fall off because they don't really have that passion to improve their game. And like they kind of get distracted with like all these other things. And then like and then like also like these parents that push them, like that kind of causes the kids to hate the sport a little bit.
Mm.
So it kind of like is not as motivating for them. So like, but there are instances that, there are really, really good tennis players that they have like crazy parents, that push them like crazy, and like they end
And
up,
Agassi, right? That's the most famous
yeah,
example.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like they end up being really, really good.
Uh-huh.
But I will say, like, when they hit college, like they're not going to be tennis players in college, like I know a ton of people that just get into a college team, and then they do a couple weeks, they miss a bunch of practices because they don't care about tennis.
Uh-huh.
They go off to parties, they just don't care about tennis, and then they get kicked off the team. And then but they don't really care because, they were pushed by their parents their whole life. And yeah, they got into college, but now that they have college, they're meeting new people, like they have all these new they have this new environment, especially without their parents there.
Hmm.
So that they kind of take advantage of that, and then they kind of drop tennis completely. So I feel like, you know, that's why I keep going back to like passion is so important, from and like wanting it, like your child like wanting it for themselves is
Hmm.
so important, because like that's going to fuel a lot of the improvements in their game.
So as a parent, how do you help your kid to develop that passion? I'm sure not, I hope every kid would have the passion that you have, but but if you don't, can you somehow instill that passion into your kid?
Um, I think a lot of it comes from the child themselves,
Okay.
but you know, why I kind of love tennis, my dad and my sister made it fun for me. You know,
Okay.
I think it's really important to have fun with the sport in the beginning, because you're like, hey, like this is fun. I want to improve, so I can have even more fun. And then, as you grow older, if the child's like very competitive, like they're gonna wanna win, they're gonna wanna beat people. And like that's kind of like how it spirals into, wanting to be better, and like being more passionate about the sport. Like when I was playing for like the first couple years, like I had no intentions of playing college tennis.
Mm,
Like I was just like, oh, like my sister plays high school tennis. Like that seems really fun. And like, so I was like, oh, like hopefully I can play high school tennis one day. And
mm.
I would just hit around with my friends. I'd take one lesson a week and just trying to have fun, and like the coach that I had was just like he was a really nice guy and he made tennis fun. And like that's another reason like why I fell in love with it because they made it fun for me. So
So that's from age 6 to when was the fun stage?
probably I mean like tennis was always fun, but like I think definitely started training harder at 11, 12.
11, 12. Okay. I think I picked it up last time when I talked to you. So from
Mhm.
6 to 11, right? This is where fun just kind of a hangout stage, right? How many hours were you training every week in those periods?
I mean, no more than an hour and a half a day. And I'd probably play like 3, 4 times a week.
Okay. Okay. That sounds
Um,
pretty reasonable.
yeah, but I'd probably say that I played 3, 4 times a week between like ages 6 to 9 or
Uh-huh.
6 to 10.
Uh-huh.
And once I hit 10, like then I probably got a little more serious and I'd probably, I still wouldn't play more than an hour and a half, probably an hour and a half, but I would probably play like 5 times a week, something
Right.
like that.
I
Yeah.
see. So how good were you from 6 to 10? Like when other people look at you or other parents look at you, wow, that's a child prodigy right there. Did they say that or were you just kind of one of the kids?
No, I was just one of the kids, you know.
Okay.
I think, we have, I'm from southeastern Michigan, and there's a tournament in southeastern Michigan where I think about 16 players from southeastern Michigan get to play in this tournament called the Midwest Closed.
Hmm.
And that's where all the states in the Midwest, um, 128 of them are in one draw.
Mm.
And qualifying for that tournament was a huge deal for me. And I didn't qualify for that until I was 12.
Oh, okay.
Or no, 11, 11. I didn't
Okay.
qualify for that until I was 11. Um, but just qualifying for that was a huge accomplishment for me. Um, so I was definitely, I'd probably say I was like 20 25 top 30 in southeastern Michigan for my age group, like around that age,
Wow.
around 11 and younger.
Okay.
Which was like honestly like not like good at all, you know.
Okay. I thought it's pretty good. Oh, so that's your first tournament, like into regional tournament that you were top 20, 30 already.
Oh no. Like that was an accumulation until I was around like 11 years old. So
Okay.
like every year you can play as many tournaments you want in a year.
Hmm.
But but then they only take the best 6 tournaments that you've
Ah,
played.
okay.
And like there's like a point system and like different levels of tournaments that give different amounts of points. And then they take the top 6. And then, say I play a tournament say I played a tournament in February last year, come February this year, that tournament will come off and then like you'll have to play another tournament or that point or you'll just like lose those points forever.
Okay.
So it's like every year it's just like kind of trying to improve off of last year.
Gotcha. But you got in. That's a really a big sign that you got something, right? That probably is
For
a
sure.
that kind of achievement give you a little boost, even though I guess by comparison standard, you're still kind of one of the guys, but you're still getting better, right?
For
So
sure.
that,
Yeah, like it was a huge accomplishment. My sister only made it like once or twice. And like she might have only won like one round or something at the tournament. So like it was a huge accomplishment for
so
me. But like at the same time, you have the state of Michigan, like not just southeastern Michigan, you have to compete with everyone in Michigan and then everyone in the Midwest. And then on top of that, you have to like there's another level of competing against everyone on a national level. So like that's like why to me like being top 25, top 30 like was not like was not like crazy to me because
Gotcha.
like there's like so many more levels, you know?
Yeah, yeah. In Chinese, we say 山外有山，人外有人, right? There's always someone who's better than you.
Yeah, yeah.
But when did you start feeling like, okay, because by the senior of high school, you were top 10 in the nation, right?
Yeah.
So how did you go? I mean, at what age do you feel like you got something, right? You're because top 30 in regional going to top 10 in the national, that's a huge gap, like huge long journey to achievement. So when did you see that I got something?
Um, I think around 12 years old, uh, I definitely thought I had something. And I think a big part of that was because I implemented another coach
Oh,
into my training. And this coach had trained a lot of like really, really good players back in the day. And but he was really tough, you know, like he was scary, he'd yell at you,
what's his
he'd get
name?
loud.
If you
Huh?
don't, what's his name if you don't mind sharing?
Armand Molino.
Armin Milano. That's in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So but he was, you know, very, very mean, you know,
Okay.
hard on you. But at that point, you know, like I got to the close, I didn't really do well. I like I think either I lost both matches, both the main draw and the consolation round, or I won one round. But like it was just like it didn't make me feel good, you know? So I was like, I want to like I want to get better, you know?
Mhm.
And my original coach, like he wasn't really like he was a good coach, but like he wouldn't take me to the next level. And like my dad was like, oh, like maybe we can try this guy, Armand.
Mhm.
But you know, he's very hard on you. He's gonna yell at you like, are you sure you want to do this? And then I was like, yeah, yeah, like
You
I
say
want to,
yes. You say
yeah,
yes. That's important,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So would you have taken, say Arnold, he started training you at 8 instead of at 12.
Hmm.
Would you have be able to take him at the, be able to handle him at 8 year old?
I don't think I think I was like too scared. I would have been like I would have been crying on the court. Like I don't know. Like I
I see.
think I definitely had to like mature a little. I mean, I'm still a kid, but like I definitely think like I grew up a little bit in that time. So I think at that time it was and like, you know, at 8 years old, like I wasn't even 100% sure I wanted to like play
Right.
tennis full time, you know. So
So maybe if Art trained you at 8, you'll be like, this is not for me, right?
could be, could be.
You might, okay. So I think that it's important to know that kids at different age handle things differently. What the key thing that I heard was your dad asked you, can you handle this big mean coach that yells at you? Can you handle that? And you say yes, and that's important, right? Because
Yeah,
he has a buy-in from you. But if you just install saying, you know what, you're too soft, I'm gonna give this tough kid to you, handle him, it
yeah.
might have probably be counterproductive in some
For
way.
sure. I mean, I'm sure all you guys know, like tennis lessons aren't cheap, you know?
Yeah,
And if you want it for your child more than like the child wants it, like in a way, like you're kind of just like wasting money
got
because
it.
like they're not getting the most out of it.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, I have so many questions. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker because I want to leave a little
Mhm.
time for the parents to be in the room to ask some questions.
Yep.
Fundamentals versus, I guess the form versus force. Or that's something I really want to know. So when you were younger, did your coach train you to hit the ball really hard or to be very accurate and make sure they don't. I mean, you don't fall.
Yeah. Um, you know, that's why I think I kind of had a unique training setup growing up because that first coach that I mentioned, he was kind of like, oh, you want to hit with a bunch of clearance over the net. Um, like you don't want to miss balls, things like that. So like when I was pretty young, like I'm playing like I'm just like pushing the ball kind of, and that was how I'd play. I mean, I remember having so many like 3-hour matches of just like moonballing against like my competition. But then when I added Armand, he trains you like, oh, hit the ball harder, hit the ball harder, hit the ball harder. So that's like I think it's unique because I kind of got the best of both worlds.
Mm.
Where I have one coach teaching me how to hit the ball harder. And like, I mean, he would get angry when you would miss. So like hit the ball harder and not miss. And then on the other hand, like I have this other coach that's teaching me, how to hit these spins, how to be consistent, things like that. So I think I had a really great combination between and contrast between these two coaching styles.
So you got the technique coach earlier, so make sure you
Yeah.
don't you
Yeah.
you you don't miss. But you got the power coach later on, the power plus
Yeah.
technique coach later on. Okay.
Yeah.
Do,
That's
do,
right.
do, do you think that's a good order? Because of course you want, if you're a good player, you want to have both, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to start with power or start with technique, or maybe precision is a better word?
I think that I would probably start with technique first
Okay.
because, I mean, if your kids are trying to play college or even pro or whatever their goals are,
Hmm.
college recruiting, that doesn't really start until you're 16 years old.
Hmm.
So like on like college coaches aren't going to be looking at your kids' results until around like 16, 15, 16, 17, 18. So like I think it's important to, you know, make good habits while you're younger and have good technique. And, as you get older, start to play the right way, start to play more aggressive and things like that. Um, but at the same time, I feel like there's just like if you have these bad habits at first, like it's going to be tough to break those bad habits later, like and like
What's a bad habit? Like what are the bad habits? Can you
um just like decision making is a big one,
Okay.
like when you're on the defense, just hitting like slapping the ball, like trying to hit a winner when you're not supposed to,
Hmm.
not having enough clearance on the net, um having big one is like having like the wrong grip on like certain shots, like the continental serve. It's very tough, like especially like when you're little,
Uh-huh.
but the more and more you practice it, like it gets way easier. um but yeah.
Okay, got you. So make sure you get techniques first, and then maybe power a little bit later if you have to order them. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I think would be ideal. Yeah, and like the reason why I say like you shouldn't really care about power is because like realistically, like how much power can a 12-year-old generate?
Mm.
Like they can't generate that much power, right?
Hmm.
So like I think the power comes as you hit puberty, you grow bigger and your body develops, right? Because
Hmm.
you're just a bigger human being.
I see. Okay, cool. Let's talk.
Like when you're yeah,
I'm sorry.
you go.
Let's talk about college
You're
recruiting.
good.
So we gotta have a little time to
Yeah.
talk about college. So
No, all good, all good.
how big of a incentive, like, or driving force was college to you when you were playing tennis?
Uh I think it was a huge incentive,
Okay.
I mean, I really enjoyed high school tennis,
Hmm.
and my parents put so much money, and like my level was there, and like I love tennis, so like why not keep playing? Especially because like it can set me up, tennis can set me up and make my college, getting into college much easier. Um, and like tennis provides so many connections that'll help you after your tennis career, like finding a job and things like that. So I think that I always wanted to play college tennis because I really enjoyed the team aspect of it.
Hmm.
You might still be playing an individual sport, but just like being around a group of 9, 10 guys for, the school year is like for like 4 years is just like it's really great to have, these brothers, these people that you can call brothers after a couple years. So
When did you know you could play in college? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you
sorry,
hear
you cut out for a
me?
second. Can
Okay.
you repeat that?
Yeah, no
Yeah, yeah,
problem.
now I can hear.
So at what
Yep.
age did you feel you could play in college?
Um, Probably around 13, 14.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um, I
You knew.
I picked up I picked up I picked up some good wins around that age. I was working with that second coach for about a year or two. And I mean, I was probably around like by 14, I was about like top 10 in the Midwest.
Oh wow.
Um, so I mean, at that point, like a you can play for a lot of schools, maybe not the top tennis schools or the top academic schools, but you can play for a lot of colleges. So at that point, like I was like, okay, like I can play college. And it just like depends on, which school you want to play for. Do you care more about the athletics or do you care more about the academics? Do you want a good balance of both? And then like based off of that, like that's like kind of how how much you train, how hard you train, like what, and that's like how you create the goals of like what rankings you need to achieve because you can see like what rankings like the college code the college likes to recruit like at what range and like
Mhm.
that's definitely a great indicator.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool. So why did you how many schools recruited you when you were in high school?
Yeah, so college tennis recruiting is like a little weird.
Uh-huh.
um there'll definitely be a good amount of colleges like recruiting you, like reaching out and stuff,
Hmm.
but um you can also reach out to a school
Hmm.
that like that coach and
Oh,
like things can go kind of go from there. So
like a job search.
I was being recruited. Sorry.
It's like I was saying it's like a job search. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep going. Keep
Oh
going.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I mean I was being recruited by Michigan State, Harvard, Columbia, and Duke. Um, and I went on visits at all the schools. Um, but I kind of like Duke the best. Um,
Oh.
like I said, like I reached out. I was the one that reached out to the Duke coach.
Oh, so you
Um,
did. So Duke didn't recruit you at the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
You're like, so why did
No,
you?
no, no.
How do you identify Duke to say that's a school I want to go to and as a coach I want to play for?
Um, Honestly, I just I couldn't tell you, because like I didn't know much about their tennis or their academics, but then, later I found out that, you know, about Duke's like tennis history. They had a really strong team. So I knew their tennis was really good. And then, I later found out in the like why I wanted to go to Duke, they were a great academic school as well. Somewhere like Columbia or Harvard, like those really good Ivy League schools, they, this is a bad example because Columbia, Harvard are very good tennis schools, but their facilities like aren't too great because, they're Ivy League schools. They don't really care about athletics too much.
Hmm.
Like they're way more focused on academics.
Ah,
And then like, um, and then like another big piece was just like there was no scholarship. So it's like that like kind of sucked, it's like a big, big negative for me.
yes.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I thought Duke kind of gave me the best of both worlds of
Uh,
both like being very, very good at academics and being very, very good athletics. And they treat you very, very well at Duke. They treat you like an athlete. Like we can get like unlimited tutoring and things like that, and like free meals. So
I'm sure
like it
everyone
was
here.
the
I'm sure everyone here would love their kids to go to Duke. So, so that's for sure. So wow, it turned out Harvard for Duke. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna ask you one last question before before I move on to the a Q&A session. How did your parents help you? In what way do you think your parents help you the most in your development?
um
Other
well, I
than
think
paying for it, that's for
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, of
is
course.
given.
Um well, I think they're just like very supportive, and they didn't like when I would play a tournament and I would lose, like they wouldn't care. Like they wouldn't get mad at me.
Mm,
Like they would only get mad at me if I didn't try my hardest, or
mm,
like if I'm like misbehaved or something like that. Like like their kind of philosophy, especially like my dad's kind of philosophy is like if you try your hardest, win or lose, like I don't care, because you can always get better and
mm,
you can always improve on the things that you want. But like as long as you're having fun and as long as like you're trying your hardest, like that's all that matters to me. So I think that was a big, you know, kind of like a relief to me because just like knowing in the back of my head that like I can just play for myself. Um and like I just want to have fun with it. So I didn't have to worry about like disappointing my parents or like making them mad or sad or anything like that. Like I knew that they would be supportive of me win or lose as long as I played how they wanted me to play, you know.
mm.
Um and then also I think I was fortunate enough where my dad really loved tennis. So he knew a lot about the sport. I mean, he plays and he loves like watching videos and stuff like that. So I think he was also like very helpful in my development, just like feeding me balls, working on specific like special shots that, coaches won't really spend time with you on because like they're spending time on the fundamentals.
Uh-huh.
I think my dad was really helpful in that aspect also.
Oh, some trick plays that
Yeah, yeah,
I see. So your coach were like the person make sure you do everything the right way, the fundamentals.
yeah,
Dad is like, let's do this trick. And then
yeah. My dad was teaching me the tweeners.
oh, the tweeners. Okay, I don't have time to get into what tweener is, but hopefully I'll find out. Cool. All right. I think I'm gonna open this up to people with questions, and I'm gonna start reading some of them. So first question, actually, I have to. That's my wife, so I gotta ask her question. Then, who's your role model?
Yeah, I think growing up, like in the early stages of my life, I think my dad and my sister were my role models.
Oh wow.
Just because, they played tennis and I spent a lot of time with them, especially my sister. I mean, because remember, like I said, like I was just trying to play high school tennis. Like I thought it'd be super cool. And my sister was playing high school tennis and she won a state championship. So I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. But then, as I got more serious about it, my role model is definitely Rafael Nadal.
Okay.
Uh, I,
He's
I just really, I mean, besides being lefty like me,
yeah.
um, the thing that drew me towards him was just like how he like composes himself, how he fights for every single point
Mm.
and and he makes a lot of balls and like my style was like kind of like his style where I was like kind of counter punching, but like as I grew up like I realized like he hits the ball so hard, but like
Mm.
on TV like people would like call him like a counter puncher.
Uh-huh.
So that was like kind of how I played, so I was like, oh, like I really like that. And then also just like he never shows his frustration, and
Mm.
something that like I really admire from him is he's never broken a racket before. And
Oh.
and that's kind of like what I strive to do. Like I've never broken a racket before out of like anger because like I'm like it's if I'm playing bad, like it's not my racket's fault. Like it's my fault, you know? So like there's no reason to break a racket,
Mm.
especially because like our parents, like my parents were paying for it. Like it's like
Yeah.
$200. Like it's just a waste of $200. They'd be so mad. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely Rafael Nadal.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm gonna start reading some questions from the answer from the chat. So if you have questions, and put in the chat, and we'll try to do this quick. Okay, we don't have too much time left.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing. Question for you: when will the child start discovering their passions? My 5-year-old has fun when he's in 30 minutes class once a week, but he does not miss it otherwise. So never plays outside the class. Can he develop a passion later on? So the mom is worried about the 5-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they can develop a passion later on. I mean, five's super young. I know a bunch of people that start out, you know, at 8, 9 years old and end up being very, very, very good tennis players,
Wow.
like very, very good college tennis players. So like the passion doesn't have to hit like right away.
Mm,
It definitely takes time. And I think, you know, it doesn't have to be tennis. You can like try out some sports, some different sports, see what they like. Like maybe they have a passion in another sport, and like because they love that sport so much, like they can excel in it and they can play that sport in college or whatever level they want to. But
got it.
the,
Cool. I think
the
you
it's definitely not too young for the
got it.
passion.
I think you just made your. I think you just made. I think you just made that mom sleep a little bit better tonight. So don't have to worry. Your son is 5. Come on, don't worry about it. So the next question: in junior tennis, is tennis techniques or athletic ability more important?
um I'd probably say technique.
Yeah.
um you don't have to be the most athletic to be very, very good at tennis. Even in the pros, there are some guys that I mean most of the guys are very athletic, but there are definitely some guys that aren't very athletic, but like, they hit the ball so well, or they have like some sort of attribute to them that makes them very good at tennis. So I definitely think focusing on the tennis technique is definitely way more important.
Gotcha. What are the positive impacts you get from tennis? Wow, I'm pretty can go on and on about this, but yeah, make it quick.
Um, I've made a lot of friends. I've made just from like traveling to tournaments and stuff like that, like playing in the juniors with them. Like I still am really, really good friends with these guys like to this day. Playing college tennis, you make a lot of connections. I mean, a lot of and like these connections can help you find work, find jobs, things like that. The tennis community is very small, and like people that are similar to them. So like tennis people are always trying to help tennis people out. So those are definitely some of the positive impacts I've gotten from tennis.
Got it. Okay, so question from L. 3 questions. I'm gonna just pick one. If I have more time, I'll circle back to you. So what was your biggest weakness? When you were a junior tennis player, and how did you overcome that obstacle?
Um, so I think my biggest weakness when I was junior tennis player was, I was way too passive of a player.
Hmm.
I would always try and let my opponents make the mistake rather than
Ah,
like me trying to like hit winners or something like that. And that definitely like hindered my growth between like the 14s and the 16s age, because people in the 16s definitely start hitting harder, and they start getting better too because they're more developed, and like they're putting more hours in of training and stuff like that. So I kind of overcame it because I kind of just had to tell myself that like if you don't start hitting the ball and if you don't start trying to be more offensive, like you're never going to win matches because like you pushing the ball around is like people are going to hit winners on you.
Yeah.
And like you're going to be like way more tired. So
got it. So gain the aggression, right? So if even if
yeah,
you
for
kind of
sure.
make mistakes early
And
on,
like
that's
finding a
okay.
good balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. The next question is I'm gonna pick one. So how many practices a week did you do when you were 11 or 12-year-old?
Um, I think at that age I was about like 5 times a week.
5 times a week, about an hour, 1 to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
One. Okay.
Like even in high school, like I was at most playing 2 hours a day. I played 2 hours a day like once or twice a week. And then all the rest was like 1 hour.
Got you. Oh, this question is good. I'm gonna ask that. Like how do you think about group lessons versus one-on-one with a coach?
Yeah. I think group lessons is a great idea. Um, well, I think both are essential. You know,
Okay.
I had a one-on-one lesson every week. Ended up having two one-on-one lessons eventually.
With the same
And then,
coach?
no. One with one and then one with
Oh,
the other.
wow. Okay.
And then, but I would always go to group lessons. There were like different groups that I ended up going to. One of the groups was twice a week at one point, and then another group was once a week at a different stage of my life. But I was always going to a group lesson. And what's great about group lessons is that you get to play with a lot of different people and a lot of different styles of play, so you get to kind of figure out like how to play certain people. And it's also just a great opportunity to make friends, like at these group lessons I made a lot of really close friends that I would end up growing up with, and group lessons were always really fun for me.
So you got two coaches both doing one-on-one with you. Did they
Yeah.
know the existence of the other coach? Or you
um
kind of a
I honestly I think they didn't know about each other for like
oh
four
wow.
4 years, like 4 or 5 years.
That's like another separate family kind of issue. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
the only
for sure.
ones.
It was definitely like a little awkward. Like once I realized that like they knew about each other, like that, like they were both like, because like I don't know, I think if I had to do it over again, like I would tell them like first day, like hey, like
Oh,
I'm taking a lesson, because like I just like don't want like any of their viewpoints to like conflict with each other.
were they
No,
missing?
no, no.
Okay, so they
It
were.
ended up like never happening, but.
Oh, I see.
Well, like just like being transparent from the start.
Got you. Okay, I can relate to that. So what do you think is the biggest key to success? Very broad question from another Andrew.
Um, I think my biggest key to success, I'll say for on the tennis court, was my mental game. I'm a very calm person on court. Like my emotions never get too high, too low. And like I just think like in my junior career, I was mentally stronger than a lot of these kids. And like that was definitely a big part of my success, because like whether if I was down, like I wouldn't get too like upset, because like I knew that I could come back, or like and things like that. And I guess like with the mental game, like it's honestly very tough to train. Like we're even working on it like in college, and it's still tough to train because like it's mental. So
Yeah.
I think I was very fortunate to just like my personality is like very calm, but like I'm a really big fighter on court. So I
Mm.
think I think that that's kind of my key to success on court.
Got you. All right. And then Jerry asked, can you share the timeline of your UTR? So do you know the UTR when you were 8 or 10, 12?
Yeah, so UTR wasn't really a thing until like middle school, but
Okay.
like I mean I was in 11. I was in the 11 and then 12s in middle school, and
Wow.
then the like freshman year I was like uh, I was 12, and then sophomore year I started really improving. So, and I saw my highest. So then sophomore year I turned into 13, and then junior year I hit my peak where I was like a 13.3
Wow.
UTR. But then after that, UTR changed their algorithm because junior kids were getting higher UTRs than the professional people. So
Oh,
then they
okay.
algorithm. So then my UTR has kind of just hovered around the 13.1, 13.2 ever since,
How much
like
credence do you give to the UTR?
how much what?
Like how does is UTR like is it real or is it, how accurate it is to reflect your
I
ability?
think UTR is the most accurate
Okay.
ranking system of the UTR or the uh between that and like the tennis recruiting rankings. I think UTR is much better.
Got it. Okay, cool. We're out of time, but I'm gonna ask you one last question because this is from my goddaughter. I gotta do it.
Yeah.
So tennis regions. The question is, high school academic, balance study and practice, high school team, UTR progression. Okay, I think I know what she's asking. So how do you balance in high school? How do you balance academics and your versus your tennis training? And what's your goal after college?
Yeah. So I I mean, honestly, it wasn't too tough to balance academics and studying in or tennis in high school just because, I went to public high school, and the school wasn't too tough. I took a couple APs in high school just because like I knew I only had to take a couple for college and stuff because
Mhm.
like luckily like I had my tennis to help me.
Yeah,
But
helps.
yeah,
我这
yeah.
想起来
Yeah.
有个什么，
All right, keep going.
Um, but like I think I was able to balance it really well because like I didn't play too much like during the school week, I'd probably play an hour and or an hour and a half after school, and
Mhm.
then just like, I'd eat dinner, and then like after that I'd just study the rest of the night. Um, so the high school balance wasn't too hard. It was much harder in college, but you definitely get used to it.
Yeah.
Um, and then after college, uh, I'm not I don't have my plans 100% set yet, but I just applied to an accelerated MBA program that Duke offers. So I'm a grad student right now using my last year of eligibility. So, and the accelerated MBA takes the grad program that I'm in right now and counts as the first year of the MBA. So
Right.
then this program will give me my MBA after just doing next year's program. So
Got it.
that's my plan right now if I get in, and then if not, I'll just have to do some job searching, whether that's I'm definitely gonna do something in the finance realm, whether that's investment banking or consulting. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Man, that's so Duke. A lot of my friends are going that route. So,
Yeah.
do you think your future career? Do you think tennis will play a part in your future career in some way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really enjoy coaching. I think that it's really rewarding once you tell, someone to do something, and like after a couple shots, they're like, wow, like I feel much better with this shot. Like that's honestly like super rewarding for me. Um, I'm not sure like how I'm gonna make that happen, whether that's like, coaching my kid if they end up playing tennis, or like maybe coaching as a side gig on the weekends or something like that. But I definitely think that, I'll definitely want to keep up with tennis after I'm done playing college.
Gotcha. All right, cool. And maybe you'll start coaching kids who belong to
Yeah.
these parents who are in the room. So
Yeah.
this is what I learned. There's always a market for hungry Chinese parents trying to kids to Duke. So that I know for sure. So all right, thank you so much, Andrew. Can people find you? How can they find you in some way if they have more questions for you?
Yeah.
Or you can direct it through me. Either way works.
Yeah, I think I'll direct it. I'll think about which way they can contact me. I'll tell you, and then you can kind of pass it along.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for spending the time, and I'm sure. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it, and I really hope I'm pretty sure all the parents here and kids even they enjoy your this conversation. So hopefully we have another one angel or two, maybe 10. Who knows? Let's get a bunch of angels.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
the more the better.
The
Yeah.
more the better. Cool. All right. I know it's late for you. Good night. Really appreciate it.
All right, good
Have a
night.
good day. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks everyone for coming out. This is great.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.